All right. So, hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. So, this is Valerie with Wholesale Natural Body Care. And I have a host of family members here. I'm going to let each one of our guys go ahead and introduce themselves on this cool Sunday morning, afternoon, I should say. Let's start with our guest, Mr.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Lamont Rowan, and I'm so happy to be here and just so proud of you guys and everything that you're doing, and here to support you.
Good deal. My name is Derron. You can call me D, of course. I'm excited, Miss Valerie, Auntie Valerie, to be on this on your platform and such a intriguing conversation. I'm ready to make it happen. Let's go.
Let's go. And my name is Ralph Rowan. I am Valerie's husband. And like Dee Dee said, let's go. Let's make it happen.
All right. So today, what's amazing, and I want to say hello to everyone out there that's popping in. I see a few of you popping in. You're welcome to say hello. Tell us where you're watching us from. And if you have questions, just hop in and ask questions. I'm sure the guys would just love it. So today, our topic is what men want from women. And it's funny because I was on TikTok the other day and I saw this guy and he was talking about what he didn't want. And there are a lot of women that I think may not have ever had an opportunity to have this live conversation with an actual man about what it is that he really, really truthfully wants from a relationship, or what is it that he's looking for, and what it is that he may not be looking for. So today, my guest, Mr. Didi, is going to enlighten us. And he yields from, tell us where you're from, Dee.
The home of Muhammad Ali, Louisville, Kentucky.
He's also from Louisville, and so is Lamont. Lamont lives there also. So let's hop right in there. Dee, tell us what your thoughts are. I know that you had been single for a while and recently have had some changes in your life. So what, according to statistics, there are more men, obviously, than women, or are there more women, obviously, than men? Which one is it?
I think it's more women out here than it is men.
Okay. And so what does that mean to women who are looking for relationships?
Well, let's just be transparent and honest about it, right?
That's right.
Know your value. You got to know your value. And I think we all learn our value through certain situations, certain heartaches that we have to go through, that we have to grow through. So I would just say know your value as a woman, and just don't feel like you have to settle for anything that's out there because society says at a certain age you have to be married, or you have to have this house, or you have to have this part of status in your life. No one can rush love. No one.
Okay, so when you say know your value as a woman, what does that mean exactly? Unpack that for me.
I would say know what you want in your mate. Know what you're going to settle for. Know your boundaries. Know that you are okay with the individual's track record, to understand that where you are going, it is a mutual thing, and the things that may arise is not something that's going to make you feel like, dang, I picked the wrong person.
Okay, I think that's super important because I think that we're short-sighted. We know what we're looking for on the short side, but in relationships, they go on for months and years, and people change, they evolve. A lot of things can happen while you are in a relationship, and you become exposed to pieces of yourself that you didn't know it ever existed. And so with that being the case, and some women, I know I have seen lots of my friends in and out of relationships, and I have quite a few friends that are currently looking to enter into relationships, but they find it very difficult. They find it difficult because what I'm hearing is that it's a non-acceptance thing. I want to be myself. I want to do what I want to do. And they're looking for someone that is going to accept all of the above. Can you help, either one of you guys help us with that?
I'll let one of the other two talk and then I'll come back.
Go ahead, Uncle Lamont.
Well, I think that either party, male or female, I think the main thing is that you show each other respect. And I like to ping pong, piggyback on what Dee said. Know your value, um, and but uh, a man needs to have respect and admiration from his woman, and to let her know that uh, that he will protect her and he will support her. He will take care of her, and she is to bring comfort to him and his home and their home. And but I think respect is the main thing, along with love, true love, unconditional love.
Well, you know, there's a new thing that's going on nowadays, and the young man that I heard on TikTok, he was suggesting that everything is really casual. The relationships are casual. What women are looking for is kind of like a drive-by relationship, drive-by sex, hit it, get it, on it, off of it, you know, and they want to be free to do all of that. So when you're saying that what your expectation is for a woman to bring comfort into a home, and for the man to provide her with protection and to love her and things like that, that's cool. It's simplistic because these new day women, they're looking for high-end men, so to speak, and men are looking for high-end women. They're looking for high yielders, high earners. They want to live large. They want more than comfort. You know, they want a man that can take care of them and give them any and everything that they have ever wanted. And so when you hear that that's the new trend, and it may not be enough for a woman to just be comforted or bring comfort into a relationship, she wants more, because the average female today doesn't respond to that, because, you know, we're soft living. And so a lot of women make a lot of money, and they feel like they can do a lot for themselves. So when they're going out looking for men, they're looking for something slightly different. So I need somebody to speak more on that level for me. Thank you, though, brother. D, help me with it. You're younger. I know you know this generation.
Well, I'll tell you, it was two words that you said there that kind of got my attention. But the first part is a trend, right? Trends come and trends go. And with love being an emotion, I think, personal opinion, is that you have to have something more sturdier, something more foundational than the word trend. Look, my prior relationship, she was a high earner, right? And great teacher, great mother, no problems there. But we didn't learn how to communicate. Began to happen in a relationship. Going forward with my fiance, right? I've learned how to communicate. I've learned how to break down things that I'm feeling throughout the day. So when I'm coming home from work, I know how to use my words. I know how to use the challenges that doesn't make her feel like she's the victim for what I've been through. And so I think when we look at the word trends, I don't have a problem with whatever that was you seen, right? That's their opinion. Like, this is my opinion. I think that we need to understand that trends come and trends go. Clickbait happens and clickbait doesn't happen. And for anything to be substantially sound relationship wise, we have to realize as a couple that we can't go all in for ourselves. Meaning, I can't be all for Derron and not give any of Derron to Sarah. Some parts of me have to die in order for our relationship to live at a level that I'm going to do everything that Lamont said, allow the comfort and allow the protection and allow the leadership to be a part of our relationship.
So do you think that some of the younger men, you know, it's all about parenting and all about our experiences. Do you think that some of the younger men just have no concept of how to get to what you're speaking of?
That's a tough one. I'm starting a nonprofit, and we're going to actually, and my team are actually going to start dealing with those issues. It's called Mindset Academy. And those are some of the issues we want to start with our young teenagers. Listen, my nephew's 6'4". He's a very handsome man. Great athlete, great student athlete, great kid. But I admire him because when he's dating, he's got blinders on. I'm like, hey, look at that cheerleader. Oh, hey, look at that girl. I don't know, right? And I admire that about him because he already understands that his value in life for a man is not going to come with how many women he treats like a belt loop. It's going to be how he values the woman that he's with at that time. And I think that is something that our young men don't. They see these videos and they see these TikToks and how cool it is to have different area code females. But again, the trend comes and the trend fades.
You know, I have a saying. I think we need a new word. We talk about, you said that love is an emotion. But, you know, it's funny because that word love, it means so many different things. And it can be good, indifferent, it can be bad, and it can definitely be amazing. Because, like, for example, I love cake. I love ice cream. I love to go shopping. I love to spend money. I love to eat more than I should eat. I love to do a whole lot of things. But of all those things that I love, are they all good for me? So when we talk about loving someone, and I know Ralph always talks about it being a principle, and I want him to tap into that for me. But I think that, like you said, if what a lot of the younger people are going after is more of a trend, then what is true love? What does it look like? And it needs to be unpacked.
Well, for me, love is a principle first. And the emotion comes behind the principle. If you put the emotion in front of the principle, then that's all it is emotion. But when you have something to stand on based upon principle, then you can line everything else up behind the principle, and then the emotion would be beautiful. But without the principle coming first, the emotion would just be an emotion.
Can you give me 3 examples of what the principle looks like? What is in the principle?
Well, see, the thing is that, again, like I said, I don't know how a person believes, but true love is not some fiery, impetuous passion with electrifying electricity running all up and down your spine. True love is calm and is deep in its nature and is captured by qualities alone. So when you're talking about true love, you're not talking about an emotion first. And so what you asked what that looks like, that's exactly what it is. It's a principle. And that principle has to be God first.
Okay, I like that. And you know what's funny is I know oftentimes for me as an individual, I'm a busy individual. I'm busy with my business. I'm busy doing this. I'm busy doing that. And so when I have to think about what makes me blossom or what makes me develop into my better self in a relationship, it's really simple things, but they're not so simple. And I know that you know this about me, Ralph. One of the things that is most important to me is you getting to know me. So when Derron said communication, and I know that you and I have worked a lot on our ability to communicate with each other, because one of the greatest gifts that you give me as a husband is knowing me. You have taken the time to really get to know who I am, because we can be surface level depending on what has transpired during our day, during raising children, different aspects of our lives. And so I think one of the greatest gifts that I enjoy in the relationship that I have with you is the fact that you, I know that you know me. And so in my weaknesses, you know me. Even when there are things that I might want to do or a trend that I might want to hop on, we have the ability, especially if it doesn't please you. You know, you don't try to lord over me and tell me, well, you know, you can't do this and you shouldn't do that and blah, 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 blah. Because as an individual, just like Christ does, he doesn't force us to be in a relationship with him. He does not force us to obey any of his commandments. He gives each one of us free will. And I think we have the same thing in relationships. I think that I am my best me when I can be who I am, who God created me to be, but I get to blossom being myself and being able to be your wife while I'm doing that. I don't think I would be able to do that if you were regulating me, or if you were busy regulating me or telling me what to do. But when my desire is to link up with you, then I want to incline to you. So the things that I know are going to make you happy and the things that I know are going to develop our relationship, those are the things that I want to do. And those are the things that bring me happiness and joy.
And I fully understand what you're saying, Val. And it didn't just happen. It didn't just happen overnight. We have to work on these things. These are things that you learn over time, because I remember when you and I first got married, the first thing we had to understand was roles. You remember? I mentioned, I said, your role would be this, my role would be that. And this is the way we would run things, because of your previous experience. You weren't used to being in a certain type of role, because you appeared to be the leader of your relationships. But when you came with me, then you recognized that you had someone that could lead, but you had to learn how to let me lead
No, babe, I don't even think I had to learn. You had to show me.
Well, I agree with that. I can agree with that. Yeah.
It was through you qualifying who you were that made it easy for me to get in my role. You assumed the leadership role. You showed me that it was safe for me to depend on you. Then it was easy for me to assume my role, and I began to be comfortable in it. And of course, I remember one time we were in the kitchen in our country home, and I had cooked, and it was so funny because we hadn't been married that long, and I hope you don't mind me being transparent with this. I think it can help someone. And I had cooked, and it was on leading up to the weekend. So I was working a full-time job. I got off my job. I went to the bank. I cashed my check. I went to the grocery store. I bought groceries. I put the groceries in my car. I drove all the way to Pulaski. When I got to Pulaski, I took the groceries out of my car. When I got done getting the groceries out of my car, I began to put the groceries away. Then I cooked the groceries. Then my husband said, "Fix me a plate." What? Fix me a plate? You need to fix your own plate and fix me one too. And he was like, "No, fix me a plate." And I was like, I was so mad, Derron. I wanted to take the whole drawer of silverware and just dump it somewhere. You know what he said to me? He taught me that day about roles. He said, "You don't pay no bills. You don't take no trash out. You don't even put gas in your car. What do you mean you don't want to fix me a plate?" I was like, "But I cooked and I went to the grocery store and I did da 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 da." I was really in my emotion of just really getting into a marriage with this man that was all this testosterone. And he was kind of talking to me about some role. I'm tired. I done already cooked and everything. So it was that day that I had to get over wanting to ditch all of the silverware. And after he told me, and I had to think about it. He's right. No, I do pay some bills, but I was just paying a little stuff. I wasn't paying no real bills. And I was buying the groceries, but if I didn't buy the groceries, he could buy the groceries. And because he was in his role, which is sexy. Y'all know that's sexy? A man that's in his role, a man that can be respected, a man that does what he's supposed to do, a man that takes care of his children, a man that shows up, a man that goes to work on time, and then a man that will respect you and treat you with kindness. When he tells you to get in your role, I'm getting in my role. But now it's amazing because And I have to, now I get to self-regulate because, as Dee Dee said, I am adjusting to a new mindset. And it's been 24 years for us. And I still have to adjust my mindset. I have to adjust my mindset because things have changed for us. We're not where we used to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I still work, I still do all these things, but I'm still a wife. So I still cook. I don't cook as much as I used to cook, but I still cook. And now what's funny about it is our roles have shifted slightly. I make his plate, he makes my plate, but we're not regulating each other. You know, we're not demanding, we don't make that kind of demand on each other. It is out of respect and a certain amount of honor and a certain amount of, I want to do this because it's going to set a tone. Makes it easy.
Yeah. But I think it goes back to what you said earlier too, was it wasn't the fact that he had to show you, it was the fact that he had to show you that you could trust him.
Right.
Right. A lot of us, we want to be the leader of our households, but who are we following?
That's right. That's right.
Are we following the news channel? Are we following social media? Are we following our friends who's had 4 and 5 bad relationships? Who is in here? Because it's just
that's right.
Was right here, right?
That's right.
You know, once we put God at the pyramid, Christ at the pyramid, and then we show our mate, male or female, that I am following this peer, you know, and through hard times and good times, I'm going to show you that I'm going to show up for you every single day. And then roles, like you said, Ms. Val, doesn't have to be regulated to who does what. It's a matter of, I'm doing this for my baby.
That's right. That's right.
I cannot cook, but my fiance can throw down. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take cooking classes, because when she comes home from a hard day at work, I'm going to be able to lay the plate out for her, not because it's regulated, but because I love her and I want her to come home to a cooked meal.
Babe, you gonna take a cooking class?
No, thank you. No, what it is, really and truthfully, here's the way we operate. You know, basically, I had never have cooked, dinner, because we had 5 boys and 1 girl. My sister was taught to do all the cooking for us as men, and we would do the cleaning and all this kind of stuff. I never had to worry about doing any cooking. Now, I did learn how to cook breakfast. Now, now I will cook breakfast, sweetie. Now, I will cook breakfast, but I'm not going to cook dinner because I don't have any experience in it.
Get a cookbook, like Dee Dee said.
I don't want a cookbook. I like it this way.
Y'all hear that? So let's get into a little bit more nitty gritty. So, you know, my feelings are hurt for some of the women that I come in contact with, because this world is not fair, you know, and it's changed. And like Dee Dee said, we got some strange trends. And I don't think these trends are elevating us to our better selves. Anytime our exchange of language about who we are includes us, each one of us calling each other bees, the men calling women bees and H's and so on and so forth. It's almost like we have gone down a slippery slope. We've lost our standards. Okay. And, you know, for a long time, I didn't like listening to certain people on YouTube, Kevin Samuels, because I didn't like his delivery. But now when I go back and I watch some of his pods or some of his videos, a lot of what he was saying was true. I think that we have lost some basic principles about how we should conduct ourselves, both men and women, to produce the absolute best results that we want for ourselves. And so I want Dee Dee to speak to that, because he said that he's starting a nonprofit that is designed to help the young men. And hopefully, you know, because a lot of the fathers have been absent in families. So our men don't know, they haven't been fathered appropriately, or either even their fathers. In the Black family, we have struggled. We've gone through a lot, and we can take it all the way back to slavery. Sometimes when we're really trying to understand how we got to where we are, you got to remember our 4 men were taken to be studs. And so they were taken away from their families just to be studs and bring about more offspring so that the master could have more slaves, more men, children to do the work in the homes or, in the fields. And so the women watched their men being carted off. And you got to imagine that there had to be some disassociation for them to be able to do what they were doing, for them to be the studs for the master, to bring about more children, just about, procreation, just over and over and over and over again. How do you remember that you have a wife and a child that you, at one point, you loved? And so now you're taken off to do a job. You have a job to do. And I don't think that a lot of that has been removed from the mindset of a lot of the Black men. So this thing has been a generational thing that we've been dealing with for a long time. And so now I look back to even my grandfather that I didn't personally know. I knew some of him, but I'm sure his father. My grandmother picked cotton. And so you got to imagine that back then, even 100 years ago, that hadn't been that long ago. My husband is, how old are you, babe?
20.
Men that are in their 70s. I'm in my 60s. How old you, D? Do you want to say?
55.
Okay, so you're talking people that are 55, people that are in their 60s, people that are in their 70s. It ain't been but about 50 years ago that we were still dealing with slavery. And so now we're asking for this new mindset, D. We're asking for a new mindset to men who were not allowed to parent their children. That's why, and Papa, that's why women were accustomed to wearing the pants. We don't wear the pants. We've been forced into that role because our men were taken away from us. And so now, women got to take care of the house. They got to raise the children. They got to toil with their hands. They got to do everything. And so you end up being a little on the hard side. So now here we are today, and it has not created a better us. So what's the mindset for us, D? What's the mindset?
You unpacked a whole lot in there. So let me get
You
some
sure did.
Let me get some parameters on what you a little bit, Ms. Val. Help me, Auntie. Help me a little bit.
Let's go one thing at a time. Okay, so let's say 60 years ago. So that would have been Ralph and Lamont's grandparents, right? So we still had slavery going on just a little bit before that. And the men in the family, the majority of the men that were sold as slaves, they were taken off to be studs, just to procreate. Mm-hmm. And so the women had to assume the role of the house. So now when you talk about women having an attitude and, women not knowing their roles, there's a lot that goes into that. And then it rolls on over into today's society where even though our men, they still are in the stud role, in the stud mentality. They really are. That's why it doesn't mean anything for them to go and have 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 women. The other part of that is the women now have negotiated, so they're accepting it. Mm. So my question is how do we get a new mindset when we have not had fathers in the home to parent us? When we just don't know, as our men, they don't know what to do. They haven't been taught.
Right.
Where are they going to learn it?
Right. For me, I think one of the things that we start addressing is our childhood trauma. Because a lot of that you just went around, I can put in the parentheses of trauma. And first and foremost, it's learning to identify it and then seeking help, right? When one of the taboos of the African American community, especially with Black men, is to go get counseling. When I was learning before I go there, I think that if we can have enough programs, maybe some kind of way begin to deal with how we can touch or communicate with our young men on what it's like to be a man, what it's like to be not just a stud giver, but not to just be a father, but to be a daddy. And just because you didn't have that in your household, or just because you didn't grow up with a male role model, we gotta show them in the school system. That's where they are first, in the school system and in our churches, that it's okay to be from a single parent home, but you don't have to fall victim to what you didn't see. You know, we got to learn how we can just deal with our trauma. If we learn to deal with our trauma, when I was trying to heal from my past relationships, it was going to a counselor and dealing with some things inside of me that I had to change, that I had to get better with. Because until I learned to deal with this monster up here, the inner me, not so much as the enemy on the outside, but the enemy on the inside, then I was just going to just keep taking failed relationship after failed relationship after failed relationship into my new circle. And there will never be any growth and never any change. So some kind of way, and I don't have an answer, but that is one of the things that is one of the things that I'm passionate about with Mindset Academy, is reaching out to organizations that deal with mental health, reaching out to these schools. I'm trying to get my vendor's license now to get into these school systems and begin to talk to these kids, these young men, about what it's like to stand on morals, what it's like to stand on standards, what it's like to stand on something besides laying down in many, many beds. Because I'm not gonna front, I was that young man. And I had good parents, but I was still that young man. Right. So I think it's some kind of way we got to find a way to get that mindset. And that is one way. That's where I'm really proud that my nonprofit is going to have that opportunity to begin to teach one, save one.
It's beautiful.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ralph.
No, I'm good. I was just saying that was beautiful. I like that. Yeah.
Lamont, you're awfully quiet up there. What do you think about what we're saying?
Well, I think the main reason for the conversation, if I correct me if I'm wrong, is what men want from women.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I basically said that a man needs to be admired, he has to be encouraged, supported from his mate, and but on a deeper note, I think a relationship, a marriage or a relationship needs to be rooted and grounded with the Word of God. And people don't know which way to go and what to say, and people are angry for one reason or another. But I think we need to let, I'm a believer. And I do believe that Jesus Christ should be our example. And we should go to him for everything that we need and for all the advice that we need. And I think if a relationship is rooted and grounded in God's word, then I think that that can be a real strong, healthy relationship. And that's where I stand.
You know, it's amazing because even in our relationship with Christ, you know, we're not always loyal even to him in all of his goodness towards us.
Come on, man.
In all of his faithfulness. We have our being because of him.
Amen.
And we're such a selfish people until it's even challenging for us to enter into that form of a relationship. And then we're trying to bring it on home and say that we want men to be like Christ. I know, you know, my goal is to be like Christ. And there's a process. So if you just take that same concept of entering into a relationship with Christ, there's a process. And if we just use that when it comes down to knowing what a man wants from a woman, we can just look at what Christ wants from the church, that sanctification process. It's a process of, first of all, identifying who each one of us are as individuals, and then finding out what our deficits are. And I know that for me in my everyday walk, as I am challenged to know what, there's not much about myself that I can fix. I can work on myself from a pivoting perspective, but I only know what sin is because it is introduced to me through the word of God. And so, and we can liken that to the young men. A lot of them don't even realize. We know of a situation where a young man had a wife and had a girlfriend, and his mother had a similar type relationship. So this young man assumed that this was the way to go. The only way he knew that it was not the way to go was because someone told him. And so, and when I liken that to who we should be, the word tells us who we should be. That is the regulator for us. That is the guideline and the sanctification process. So in the word, when we step out of line, the Lord maps out exactly what it is that we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do things. Proverbs is so amazing. That is the best ABC book in the Bible, that if we would just read it and take the advice that is given to us, we could unpack so much. It would be counseling in a book, you know. But we don't do that. And so as a result of that, oh, what needless pain we bear, all because we don't take things to Christ in prayer. And so a part of that sanctification process is to groom us into wholeness. And that part of wholeness will qualify us to, quote unquote, as Derron said in one of his flyers, or actually it was in one of his lives, that your happiness is no one's responsibility but your own. And so in a relationship, when it comes down to laying out your expectations for someone else, what a man wants from a woman, first of all, you got to be whole when you come into the relationship. You can't come into the relationship expecting for me to make you happy, to do everything when you haven't done the work that you need to do. So Derron, tell me a little bit about that work.
It's hard work. It's our hard work, and it's authentic and it's transparent work, because it's not fair to just what you just said. I can't enter into a new relationship. I could not enter a new relationship with my fiance if I wasn't prepared to give my whole self to her. And I'm gonna change it just a little bit too, Valerie. If you can learn to give your whole self because you are now healed, you are now whole, then you are allowing yourself to be accepted with a sense of being vulnerable to your parents, right? Because I'm whole now, because I'm healthy now, I can come home and say, man, this day was, whew. I can come home and shed a tear and not feel like a weak man. I can come home and say, I love you, but right now I just need some space because I got to unpack my day today. And I allow her to have that same, we allow our mates to have that same freedom, because, we're still two people, but we got to come together as one. And we don't begin to put in the groundwork. A bamboo tree takes years and years to water. You can go out and water a bamboo tree. Chinese proverb says the man watered watered the bamboo tree every single day, and there was no growth. And people said, why are you watering this tree? But every single day, through the snow, through the rain, through the seasons, when it was hard, when it was hot, when it was cold, he showed up every single day to water that bamboo tree. And then one day that bamboo tree, he went outside, it had grown 50 feet in the air. And people was like, why did that tree grow so fast? And man was like, it didn't. It grew underground. The roots were growing underground. In order for us to walk into and be into a healthy, hopeful relationships, we have to put the root in the ground. I was a part of a conference last year, and it was called Picking Up the Pieces. And Pick Up the Pieces is part 2 this year. I'm excited. I'm going to Texas. I love Texas, y'all. I love Texas. The conference is centered around picking up the pieces of you that you might think are broken. Someone says are not usable anymore. Someone says there's not value in that anymore. But how many people on this live understand that broken crayons, they still do color?
That's right.
You can use the brokenness of you to heal you and to be a message to someone else.
Have mercy.
Come on now. Let me stop. I'm stop. I'm good.
You know what's funny is so
Oh boy.
to be honest with you, I don't think I honestly knew how to be a wife because it wasn't modeled to me. You know, my father abandoned our family when I was an infant. And so that left my mother, and I talk about this a lot, that left my mother very angry and very upset. And she seriously needed counseling. I want to tell us as a people, do not be afraid to get counseling. If you've been in a relationship, if you have been hurt, if things have happened to you and you need to get your own act together, get help. Be the first person to say to yourself, I need to heal. I need to be healed. Go out and get yourself some help, because otherwise, you know, you end up just looking for love in all the wrong places. You end up accepting something that you shouldn't. First of all, you don't know what it is that you need. You don't know a lot. And so, and I really wish that for me, there were so many elements about, I don't even think that I could be the woman that my husband would have been looking for, especially back then. And the reason being is because it wasn't modeled. The tone of it was never expressed in front of me. The liquidity of it, I never saw that. I never saw my mother in motion. She never had an opportunity. So where was I going to learn that? You know, where was I going to learn it? My thing was get in a corner somewhere and stay out of the way of the wrath of Julia, because she was upset and she was angry, justifiably so. Justifiably so. And so, and then because, you know, I had been in a previous marriage that was not healthy, it was a setup for failure. And so now we're going to roll the clock to where it is today. I come into this relationship broken. So many bits and pieces of who I am is still broken. Thank God for patience. Thank God for maturity, because when you hook up with an immature man, he's not going to help you get to wholeness, because you've got to do like Derron said, be willing to expose yourself and to be vulnerable. We're talking about helping somebody here. So I'm not trying to be cute when I talk about it. I'm just being very transparent, because my testimony is no good unless it helps someone. And I think that the Lord only allows us to go through things because he can trust us. And it is not just for our good, but it's for the good of someone else. And so now, because it's not modeled to me, and then when you take your brokenness into a relationship with someone else who is also broken, you got broken plus broken.
Come on now.
How is that supposed to fix itself? So back to what Derron said earlier, do not be nervous about getting the help that you need. I see people talking, yes, Twyla, yes, we all have broken pieces and need help. Picking up those broken pieces and walking total healness, absolutely. But if you enter into a relationship broken, don't go into that relationship thinking that somebody else is going to fix you. Right. Broken people can't fix broken people. I have to look this way because my camera's over here. The camera is here. I like looking at my guys, you know, and so we're rolling the clock forward. Now, thank God for goodness. Thank God for mercy. Thank God for grace. But I'm going to tell you something. It took a lot of hard work on my part. And back then, the only person that, you know, there was the Oprah show, and there were other talk shows. And I remember Dr. Phil, he had a really, really self-help type talk show. And I would play his tapes over and over and over and over again until I had some sense of wholeness coming back into me. Papa, you remember that? You remember me riding in the car and playing those they were CDs back then, just over and over and over and over and over. But what it did for me was it gave me hope. It helped me to see that although I didn't have what I needed modeled to me, but it became my responsibility to look for what I needed to find wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got to be willing to say to yourself, this isn't working. What I'm doing is not producing the results that I want. And the answer to insanity is doing the same old thing, expecting something new to derive out of it. It's not going to happen.
That's right. You know, there's a quote by Jim Rohn that says the human being, the living being, is the only person that has that has the ability to change his course in life. A dog's going to be a dog. A cat's going to be a cat. But we have the ability to change our course of action. And we do that by, like you just saying, deep diving into ourselves and taking the steps to becoming a better person. Sometimes, you know, I have to remind myself that I'm not just a better person for my fiance. I'm not a better person just for Lena and Dewan and my two kids and my siblings. I'm a better person because I want to be a better person. Mm-hmm. I want to be a better person. And in loving myself and in caring for myself and changing the course of action for myself, that is the byproduct of what Sarah can enjoy, what Sarah can enjoy. And what a man really wants, Ralph, I want a woman to be reciprocal to me. If I'm giving you everything I have, then I just ask the same of you. If I'm being weak and vulnerable, I need to cry on your shoulder. I don't want you to tell me, oh man, I got a weak dude. Oh, hear me out. Hear me out. Yeah. Because if I gotta be strong at work, if I gotta be a hard at work, then I want to be able to come home and say to my woman, man, them dudes today really peed me off. Let me just tell you about it. And I want to have the same safe space where she can do the same thing for me, babe. Today at work, let me tell you what these doctors did today. You know, and I'm like intrigued and in the moment, present in the moment, right? And I think that sometimes our men, we get lost in the fact that we want our women to be so much, but we don't want to do the same thing for them. It's a 50-50 thing. It ain't 70-30. It ain't 60-40. We're only going to make this work if we are joined by the hip.
That's true.
You know, it's funny. The funny thing about those percentages that you just threw out there is it can be a setup if you enter into a relationship with that as your expectation. Mm-hmm. And I can only use myself as an example. In 2021, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so at that point, when we talk about wanting real relationships where my husband can get what he wants and I can get what I need and vice versa. And I love the fact that you said you need to be in a safe place where you can feel vulnerable, where you can unpack your emotions about what you go through during the daytime and feel safe. You know, that's like you have 1 acre of grass and your neighbor has 2 acres and you're so busy looking at your neighbor's 2 acres until you can't cut your own grass. Get busy cutting your own grass, taking care of your own lawn, doing what you got to do, and then you can enjoy it and let your neighbor cut his grass and let him endure whatever the labor is necessary to get him to where he needs to be. And so based on those percentages, let's just say during the time when I was dealing with breast cancer, there wasn't much I could do for myself. And so if I entered into a relationship, or if we started our relationship and if it was based on a 50-50 thing, then what would I have done during those times? If we had established that as the root and the principle of who we were in our marriage, where would I have been? You know, when I couldn't even bathe myself, I couldn't take my clothes off. You know what I'm saying? If we didn't have the right kind of relationship where I could depend on my husband, I knew, and I would know that he had my back. And not just that, not just from a physiological perspective, but we had a booming business that had just taken off then, where I had to basically walk away from it and be able to trust that he had my back and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to have the kind of relationship where percentages don't even come into play. I just got you. I live to have you because it is my joy to have you. And that's what we do for each other. You know, we build a solid relationship that's based on wholeness and truthfulness and loyalty. I need to be able to depend on you and to know it.
I was just thinking as you guys were talking, Dee Dee, when you made the statement about I'm trying to remember what it was now. But anyway, you made a statement that was so true as far as where we are and what we believe a man needs from a woman. Now, when I unpack that, what I come in contact with in my mind is that we can tell a woman what we need, but at the same time, that woman has needs as well. So if she has needs, then we have to find out what her needs are while we're trying to find out what she needs, what we need from her. And as a result, it's a 50-50 thing, to where, okay, like for instance, me and my wife, right? Okay. Not only do we want to enjoy each other just by being in each other's company, but we also want to enjoy each other romantically. We want to know that, I love being with you. I love being beside you. I love holding you in my arms. I love these types of things. You know what I'm saying? And no other woman can take that place. No other woman can take that place. I want that from you. And when we can give that to each other, that's 50% of the battle right there. I'm finding that out. That is 50% of the battle. And a lot of men don't recognize that. And a lot of women don't recognize what a man needs in order for him to be able to flourish for her. And that's the problem.
You know what's funny about that too, Papa, is it's so amazing that you would say that, because we get so busy with life and we get so preoccupied with whatever, and we forget how important that is. Yesterday, we just literally spent time together and talking, sharing, being vulnerable, having fun. And when I tell you, it felt so good. But let me tell you why it felt good. It felt good because it gave both of us the confidence to know that it was total acceptance of each other. I love you because I totally accept you where you are in life today. I love everything about what you're bringing to the table. I love, at one point, just the soft kisses on my face. It was, it was a different level of comforting, but the reason it was because there was no question about where he had been. I didn't have to wonder who he's thinking about. I don't have to wonder, is there another woman? Those are not elements in our marriage because we have committed to each other, and good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter what it is. We have locked into each other. But you don't get there overnight. You get there by establishing roles, establishing that as your foundation. And then after you've been together for a period of time, you're never going to have that tipping out. The minute, because, this is a spiritual world that we're in. And so if you're not in a faithful relationship, the world already knows that. The enemy already knows that. And so the little things that he'll bring to your mind, or the little nervousness or the little anxiety, that little feeling that you get when your mate is maybe doing something they shouldn't be doing, that's because it's spiritual.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's a spiritual world. And when you can alleviate that in your relationship, when you're building your relationship, if you can alleviate that, and as you begin to grow together and you incline to what you need from each other, oh man, it's amazing. Come on now. It's amazing.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter how old you are, as you get there, this thing is good.
That's right, sweetie pie.
That's what we look forward to. Come on, y'all.
I'm 100% in agreement with you.
But I want to say this before because I'm looking at the time. It looks like we've been on almost an hour. But I do want to say this,
We're
men.
good. It looks like people are just coming in and enjoying it. If Derron is good, I'm good.
But I do want to say this, men. You have to earn that respect. You can't just walk up and say, I'm a man and I demand respect. You got to earn it. You got to show a woman that you want that respect by the way you conduct yourself. And then when you conduct yourself the way that you should, then she recognizes that he's serious, and this is where the trust comes in, and the respect and what you were talking about, the respect. That's what you need from a woman, but that's where the respect comes in when a man proves himself and proves that he can be that man that this woman needs.
Oh, I love what Stephen just said. I grew up in the church and I love the church, but I learned more about God through my marriage of nearly 30 years. God has patiently molded me into a godly man as he taught me how to love and care for my wife. I didn't make my wife submit to me, right? He did. You never can. She submitted to me as I submitted to God, and I never take that for granted. She respects him. And that is so true. Oh my goodness, that is so true, because there is nothing more lovely, secure, attractive, sexy, desirable, number one, than a man who inclines to God and who allows the Lord to lead him so that he can be the leader of his household. You can't lead me nowhere if God ain't leading you. I'm not even going to submit to, and then they talk about the woman needs to be submissive. Submit to what? What are we submitting to? Right. When you're wishy-washy, you're not responsible. You don't do what you're supposed to do. You don't do what you say you're going to do. You don't help take care of the children. You've got to do everything that Mr. Stephen Wigley just said in order for a woman to respect you and to produce the results that you want in a relationship. That's just it. I'm sorry. I love it.
I remember as I watched my mom and my dad when they were young, and we were very, very young. I remember how I used to wonder why my mom didn't work. But we had 6 children, right? And I soon recognized that the mindset of the man back then was that the woman didn't have to work outside of the home, but she had to take care of home. And so therefore that was the role of the wife back then. The wife stayed home and the husband worked. But I noticed that the husbands back then, they thought they could do anything that they wanted to do outside of the home because the wife was trapped in the home. And as a result, a lot of relationships, the men back then were in their homes. They were in their homes, but they were not of the home. You understand what I'm saying? They were not of the home because they had women outside of the home and they were doing anything that they wanted to do. But that was the way it was back then. But today, women appear to be as strong as men. You understand what I'm saying? It's like they don't really need men like they did back then. So we have to understand that, like Val was talking about the high value, the high dollar, what do you call it? The high valued woman or whatever have you. You were talking about how she looks for the high valued man.
Yeah.
Okay. But if she's looking for the high valued man, he has to have more than just a high value. Because if all he has is high value, he could be crazy. He could be crazy and be high value. And he could have a lot of money and still be crazy. So what we're looking for when we're looking for a mate or whatever have you, is like Derron said, God first. If God is first, then he will lead and guide you to where you need to be with a mate.
Yeah. And, I'm like Stephen, we all grew up in the church. I grew up in the church, but what I saw in the church, I didn't see many God-led men because they were after the young women.
Have mercy. I didn't see that.
Being at the church, I'm saying at the church, not in the church, is not enough. You have to be in a relationship with God where he is molding your life and he is influencing who you are, and you're allowing him to be first in your life and control of every aspect of who you are becoming, because we are becoming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got another little thing that I want to kind of interject in here.
Okay.
This is physiological because you all know that this new world of people, we've got the BBLs, the Brazilian butt lifts, we got eyelashes, we got, oh Lord, we got nails out to here, we got hair down to here, we got it all. But I hear some men saying, I'm worn out with A, B, C, and so on and so forth. So are there parameters for what really good men want from their women? What does she look like? How does she dress? Can y'all tell me that?
Ralph, you want to go first?
I'm going to be last.
Because you're younger. You're younger. You know, because I think women are confused. You know, I think women dress for women. You know, everything is competition nowadays. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, my husband has a standard that he wants me to look like. I ain't got no nail. Now I do hair. I'm sorry. I'll be doing some hair. It may not be down to here, but I'm just saying, what is acceptable? What is your concept of what? Do you guys look for modest women? What is it that men want?
Let me
out and the people that are following. Go ahead and help us out. I need you all to tell me what it is that you are looking for. What do you want your woman to look like? What do you want her to be like? We're trying to help somebody.
Okay. Now, here's my take on it. First of all, the Bible talks about a virtuous woman, right? A virtuous woman, she's not going to have a low-cut blouse all the way down to a stomach, and her breast all sticking out. She's not going to have a skirt all the way up to the bottom of her thighs or top of her thighs or whatever have you, and calling herself your wife. And she's strutting all over the place, and all the men are looking at her, and she don't know what to. I mean, you know, they don't know what to do. And that's not a virtuous woman. A man that marries, and I promise you might not believe this, but when a man marries a woman, he may see girls out there dressed like that, and he loves to look at them. But when he gets ready to get married, he's not going to look for a woman like that, because he doesn't want someone looking at his woman like he's looking at them. And so as a result, a virtuous woman is what a man would be looking for. A woman that does not display herself in a sexual way so that men will lust after her.
Very well.
That's a very good answer. I can speak my personal experience with my fiance. I had to learn. I'm learning, right? Because she asked my opinion a lot. Hey, babe, I want to wear my hair down today if we're going out. Wear my hair in a bun today, and I'm like, I really don't care. You know, you look great both ways, right? But it's not her asking me that out of insecurity. It's her asking me that out of respect for my opinion. Mm-hmm. And my opinion doesn't have to shape how she feels about herself. My opinion just needs to align on what she's asking me, on what I'm looking for that night. Some people, right? You got the old story. I want to freak in the streets and a woman in the, you get that those songs, right? Hey, look, that's what floats your boat. It's fine with me. I have no problem with another person, no judgment zone. But I have to agree with you, Unc, that when I was blessed moving forward in my relationship, I didn't have that challenge. Right? I was in the midst of growing, in the midst of personal development, in the midst of learning what I want and what I wouldn't settle for. Those were the things that I settled for. And those are the things that brought me false enjoyment. So going forward in the relationship, I have a virtuous woman, and I respect her like she's a virtuous woman. And I lead the relationship like I have a partner who not only cares about what I think, but what she thinks about herself. That's her value. That's her self-value. And
Yes.
that's how we is respected by her.
Uncle Lamont,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me what this woman that you would be looking for looks like, or what you think men look for, what the physiological aspect of her dress, how she carries herself. What is it that real men look for?
Well, I would agree with everything that Derron and Ralph spoke of. And the other thing, you know, you were saying something about the hair. Me personally, I like what the women are doing with their hair today. Uh, and whichever way that they want to wear their hair is fine with me. I like all the different styles. I like the long hair. I like the short hair. What me personally don't like, I don't like those long fingernails that are like 5 inches long. You know, I don't really care for that because I think real long fingernails, I mean extremely long fingernails, to me makes a woman look lazy, that she can't do anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. Maybe some people might perceive it like that. But I do like the hair, and I piggyback on what they said about I don't think a woman should be showing her body. You know, and a virtuous woman is what I would be looking for. And
To marry.
yeah, to marry. Yeah.
I didn't say to play with. I said to marry.
I didn't say to play with either.
I heard it from their mouths. So if you want to be played with, you know what to do. If you want to be married, you know what to do. So, Derron, we're going to let you close out for us.
You won't let me close out for us?
Yes.
Well, I think this was
Give us a recap. Give us 5 steps on how to get to where we're trying to be, and then close out for us.
Listen, I don't know about 5 steps because I'm just going to just put what God has in my heart right now. So it might be 1, it might be 10.
All right, yeah.
But listen, really, in looking at what men really want, I think it's important to understand first is who you are.
That's right.
Man or woman. I think it's important to understand that if you had to go through a situation that in your past that has shaped you, it didn't come to define you, it came to design you. And if you come out of a relationship that you've been hurt, that you've had some trauma, that you've had some abuse, then life doesn't have to stop there. You can find love again. You will find love again. You just have to keep pushing through, just like in all of our obstacles of life. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was at a fight, right? He was in a fight and he got knocked down. And the reporter asked Muhammad Ali after the fight, he said, why didn't you lose? And Muhammad Ali said, you don't lose a fight because you get knocked down. You lose a fight because you don't get back up. So in finding out what you want in life and what you want in love, just have to keep getting up. This relationship didn't work, get up. That person wasn't what you thought they were, get up. That person that communicate to you the way you thought they was going to, get up. And in search of what men really want, you would be able to learn how to deal with what you really want on the inside. Point 2.
Okay.
I believe the worst mistake that we tell our men, our friends, our bros, our brothers, our best friends, our camaraderies is to get over somebody, you get under somebody. That's the worst mistake, but that is what you just said, broken people educating broken people. You do not get over anybody by getting under somebody. All you are doing is adding to your body count and their body count. And in the end, all you're doing is you're taking that spirit and that spirit and that spirit, and you got a bunch of spirits that you don't understand if you're coming or you're going. That's where therapy comes in at. That's where speaking to a mentor, that's where dealing with a coach, that's where getting into these free Facebook groups. If you want to use social media to your good, these free Facebook groups that you can get on there and talk to people. And number 3, just love you. When you learn to love you and you put God first, everything that God has for you, whether it's money, finances, love life, health, I believe that you will have it. I believe that the God not only talks about enlarging my territory for wealth and enlarging my territory for land, but he also will enlarge your territory for love.
Mm.
He will also put the defibrillator on your chest and says, I know you had some hurt. I know you've had some things you had to go through. I know people disappointed you, but let me shock you with the love that I have of Christ so that you can be acceptable to the people that really want to love you, because they're out there if you just show up.
Mm.
So I will end with that. But I will thank you for this. This is really good and therapeutic for me. So I appreciate you.
So
I want to say one thing. I want to say one thing before we close.
Okay.
I have learned over the years that you can only rise to your information.
Mm.
In other words, if you're living in a negative atmosphere and you need to get positive, in order for you to get positive, you have to put some positivity in your brain.
Come on.
And if you don't do that, you will always stay in the negative. So I have learned that by thinking positive instead of thinking negative, it raises your information so that you can think positive. And then when you deal on levels that are a little higher than what you're used to, at least you have some information to be able to deal with it. And I think it's very, very important in our lives. I think it's very, very important that we recognize that more information will make us better people if we're getting the right information. Yeah.
As a man thinketh, so is he.
Well, all
Listen,
right, gentlemen and ladies.
so I'm going to leave you guys with this. I just typed up there. I just asked ChatGPT what a man really wants, and I said, give me 5 things. And what it said was, number 1, respect and appreciation. I think we have literally covered that. Support and encouragement, communication and understanding, physical and emotional intimacy, and space and independence. It is important to remember that these are generalizations and might not apply to every man or every relationship, but the best way to understand what a specific individual wants is through open, honest, and ongoing communication.
Amen.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
Okay.
good.
All
It's
right.
been real. And from what the people who are watching us on our live are saying, they're asking if we're going to be doing this more often. Hopefully we can.
Uh-oh, Dee.
I think it's so needed. You know, as a people, I'm popping up everything, what people are saying here. We appreciate all of you who have been on the live. Derron, I thank you so much for the time that you have taken out to be on the live with us. Please be sure to like, share, and tag anyone that you feel that this live can help. And we appreciate you all. Thank you all for being here. This is Miss Val with Wholesale Natural Body Care saying happy Sunday and peace out.
Peace.
Peace out. Peace.